We're going to start with a discussion on the upcoming season. Just to give you a very brief overview of what's going to happen or what we're thinking is going to happen. And this information will be shared in more detail as we go through the course of the fall, and we'll go from there. So we'll go from there. Then there'll be an opportunity after I sort of give you the brief synopsis to ask some questions if you have any questions. Um, you'll see kind of where we're headed with things through the course of the presentation. Then after that, we'll turn our attention to the real reason why we're all here tonight, which is to finally, at long last, watch our springtime video, which I'm very thrilled to be able to share with you tonight. So with that in mind, let us begin with this upcoming season. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this brief. I know when I've presented this the last two times, it's been over half an hour, but I'm going to try to keep it small. And I apologize for the glare on my computer or my glasses. There's nothing I can do about that right now because I need to see what I'm going to read. Okay, so the plan is for to talk about our season. So a couple of things that came in or were considered as we were going through the process of planning the season, the continually changing public health recommendations and restrictions. The province opens things up and then closes things, opens things up, closes things, which is fine. But I think we're heading back into a more closed position going into the fall. Part of that is the Delta variant that is causing lots of problems around the world right now. If you're watching the news, you can hear what's going on in the United States right now with the surge of Delta cases. You can hear what's going on. I came home tonight after picking my daughter up, and my wife says, "Oh, Western Canada is really bad right now." So I think it's just a matter of time before we start to see that result of that here. Of course, there's a desire to be very cautious and safe through the course of the year and make sure that what we are doing is responsible for all of us. Recognizing that within both choirs, there's a varying levels of comfort with in-person activities. I've had a number of conversations with people who just want to, take all the chances in the world and sing together. And then there are people who are still very apprehensive about returning to group singing. And both of those positions are completely valid and understandable. I want to also, with respect to how we're planning things, to be very respectful of your time and energy, because I recognize the work that goes into the art that we create. And the other thing that is that will be different this year is that both Joie de Vivre and Good Neighbors will operate mostly as a single choir this year. That I thought was a good sort of idea to share some of the costs between the two choirs. We got along really well, as you'll see in our collaborations this past year, and I think it will be a good fit. And this is a temporary thing, but I think for this season it will work really well. So what is the plan for the year? The plan, to hopefully not too much disappointment for people, is to proceed with a virtual start to our program this year in terms of rehearsals and sectionals. So we'll be starting on the computer, much like we did all of last year. One of the differences that we are going to do, though, is we're not going to work on a large program. This year, we're going to work on only a small number of pieces, so 3 pieces. And as always, the 3 pieces that we'll sing and rehearse are optional for you to record your videos and send them in. Always that's an optional thing. Never feel like you have to do that. As organizations, are going to continue to monitor the pandemic and public health guidance. And through that, we're hoping to plan for a very gradual return to in-person programming. So it's not going to be like a light switch where one day we're on the computer and the next we're going to have everybody in the same room. There will be a gradual step up return to full singing as we go through. And my hope is that we'll be back to some semblance of normal by this time next year. Okay. So the general outline of the year is this. This month, September, will be what I'm calling an individual learning month. So there'll be no actual rehearsals or like in person on computer rehearsals, is what I mean. All of your resources, PDF scores, recordings, conducting tracks, rehearsal videos, and all of those material that you need to be successful will be posted to the website. And for Good Neighbors members in the room, I'll talk a little bit about this later, but we are going to be using Joie de Vivre's website for all of this. So you will be given access to this section of the website where you can access all this material. And then the nice thing is that it will all be in one place. And so if you're looking for a rehearsal, you go there, you click on it, you'll be able to find it. If you want to go and find some other resource that's on there, you'll be able to find that in that section. And so these resources that I'm referring to right now are in progress. And so they'll be available by the middle of this month. So that you'll be able to practice them. One of the things that what will be different is I'm actually going to create for you very dedicated rehearsal videos per part on each of the pieces. They'll be very short, 25-minute, 30-minute sections, but they'll be very dedicated on each voice part. And so what we're asking you to do in this individual learning month is once you see your score is to go check out those videos and you can sort of start to learn your material before we get into the actual rehearsals, which will begin in October. So we will begin those on both the Saturday the 2nd and Tuesday the 5th respectively. And like last year, singers are encouraged to go to either or of those rehearsals or both. So, if you can go to both rehearsals, you're very welcome to do so. If you can only go to one or the other, you're welcome to choose which one works best for you that week. And we'll go from there. Just sort of giving you a bit of an idea of where my mind is thinking about how these rehearsals are going to look. The Saturday rehearsals are going to be full 2-hour rehearsals. So we will have everybody around in the room from 10 until noon for those rehearsals. So they will include full group singing, muted of course, and breakout room sectionals. At the Saturday rehearsal, Elizabeth, who just popped in the room, will be there as well as Joie de Vivre's accompanist, Charmaine. And each of us will be able to take a section of the choir for a good chunk of that 2 hours so that it's not just one of us talking for that entire period of time. Tuesday rehearsals, because Tuesdays is just me, at this point, I'm planning for them to be primarily section based, which will counter the hang on just one second. I was going to say we'll counter the Saturday rehearsals quite nicely because if we're doing a much broader sense of stuff on Saturdays, Tuesdays would be sort of the more focused learning. And then, as we get accustomed to the material we're looking at, there's also potentials to expand that to either, a session with all the sopranos and altos and a session with all the tenors and basses, or even a session with the full group. But those all will be assessed as we're going through the semester. The first 3 rehearsals of the month. So this would be Saturdays because, well, there's 4 rehearsals on Saturday, 4 rehearsals on Tuesday. It's just the Saturday rehearsals will be interrupted by Thanksgiving. So there are actually 5 Saturdays in the room or in October, but we're not going to do anything on that Thanksgiving weekend. And so I was one slide down. Yeah. So the first 3 rehearsals of the month will be dedicated to one piece each in the repertoire. So if we're looking at 3 pieces, week 1 will be one piece, week 2 will be the second piece, week 3 will be the third piece. And then the last rehearsal of the month, the 4th rehearsal, will be an open rehearsal for all of the repertoire. So they'll give you a chance to ask questions. We'll be able to sing through everything and we'll go from there. And then earlier this year than last, the plan is to have you record your repertoire after that last rehearsal between October 31st and November 12th. So it gives you 2 weeks to record, approximately 2 weeks to record those videos and send them in. I should say, with respect to the sending in of the repertoire this time round, that we are taking out a registration with a program called Hightail, which is actually a dedicated file transfer program. So my hope is that once we have a registration for that, I'm gonna sort of go through some protocols with it so that I know what to do. But the idea is that you'll be given a link through email, or it'll be on the website, and you click the link, it'll open a page for you. You just drag your video to the one side of the page, and on the other side, you put your name, your voice part, and what the piece is. You hit send, it goes to one place, and you'll immediately get a send receipt for that video once it is delivered. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't matter what the size of the video is. So my hope is that this program will allow for easier transmission or sharing of those videos from you to me, but will also make it a lot easier for me to keep track of all of that, because, as I mentioned a couple of times this past year, when we were receiving videos, trying to find videos between, I think it was like 7 to 10 different platforms, just became too unruly, and too hard to manage. And so this way, everything goes to one place, and hopefully we'll make that a lot easier for you as well, because I know that was a source of frustration for all of us. Then in November, if public health allows, we'll consider limited in-person sessions while still including a virtual component. I don't want to get rid of the virtual component because not everybody will feel comfortable um, with the in-person stuff. So I want to make sure that we're not excluding anybody, but I also am mindful of the fact that people want to sing together in person. And so the idea is that we'll try to find a way to do that in November, should we be allowed to do that. These 4 sessions, though, are not going to be done on repertoire. The plan is because we haven't sung together in a long time, the plan will be to focus on our breath, our voice, and making sure that our rhythm is more precise. Because I think that's an important thing. And there are only 4 sessions. So, and I won't go through the protocols around that, but the idea would be that you would sign up for one of those, like you would sign up to participate in those sessions. We would offer the sign up on a weekly basis, and you can sign up for one spot in all 4, or you can do one or more. It doesn't have to be all 4. The point is you have to sign up because the space at these live sessions will be limited, and the time of these sessions will be shorter than what would normally be an online thing, because restrictions are such that you can only sing in a space for a certain amount of time before you have to vacate, disinfect it, and let the room breathe. And with social distancing, I want to allow for as much space between people as possible. So I kind of thought of these, some people said, well, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could try this or that. The point of these is just to start the process of in-person singing. And so what I really want you to do is think of them like group voice lessons. So you would sign on in those weeks to either go in person or do them online, depending on how we do that. And then, like I said, further details on those would be provided through the course of the fall. Well, it'll be through October once we kind of get a sense of what's happening with the pandemic. Then in December, the December 4th and 7th would be the last, actual rehearsal type session of the semester. And I'm thinking these will be more celebratory in nature. And my hope is that we can include a sing along. I'm thinking it'll be virtual, these ones. This way we can just have a chance to sing some carols together, because, when you sing in choir, that's like a highlight of a season. And so we'll be able to sing some carols together. We'll be able to celebrate the season together and all of that. I put this last point in here as a sort of little carrot for us that, should public health allow, I have this idea of doing a short cabaret style performance, probably over the course of 2 times, like either it would be 2 evenings, an evening and like an afternoon matinee or something to that effect, where it wouldn't be a choir performance. The choir would not be in there as performers. But the idea being that we could do something where some people who would like to do something from within each of the choirs could perform something. It could also be an opportunity to preview the 3 videos that we're putting together for December. And it will just be an opportunity to gather. And I've got some more detail about this, but those will come through again through the fall as we know what we're allowed and not allowed to do. So then the next thing is registration. Registration is now open. The fee for both choirs this season is going to be $75 per session, so $150 for the year. For those who sang in both choirs last year, the idea is you can choose one or the other choir to register for because the program is the same. Or if you choose to, you could still register for both. And, you know, it has been a hard financial hit, COVID, without performing. And so if you are comfortable with that, you could, again, register for both choirs, but that's not an expectation. And there's not many of you that sang in both choirs either. So for those of you in the room who did do that, you can choose to register for one or the other this year with the idea that you still have access to everything. And as I mentioned at the beginning, all of the information resources that you need for the year will be provided through Joie de Vivre's website. The website link is there, joiedevivrechoir.ca. You can actually type in Joie de Vivre Choir to Google, and it's one of the first things that comes up. You click on it, the website is there, and all of the information will be found in what's called the Choir Loft on the website, which is the members only section. And as you register, the password will be provided for you. Like last year, all sessions will be recorded and posted for you to rewatch as many times as you need to be successful in learning your parts. So all of the rehearsals will be there. All of these types of sessions will be there. So after today, I will fix this up and it will get posted to the website so that you can come back and take a look at this presentation, or you can go and watch the video. And also on the website, last year I started doing this, and I'm going to continue doing that, is on the front page of the website at the very bottom. You'll see weekly updates and announcements from me. You'll see upcoming rehearsal notes. They'll be posted all to that front page. So I encourage you all to check back into the website as much as possible to have the most updated program information. So that is really all to give you the brief synopsis of the year. Are there any questions? I know I talked really, really fast, so hopefully you managed to get some of that.
When we're speaking of registering,
yep,
you're saying Joie de Vivre or the Good Neighbors. What's the difference between the two? I'm very hesitant because I'm saying, well, what's going to happen? Aren't we going to be singing the same numbers?
Yes.
Are we singing the same numbers together or separately?
There's 3 pieces of music that we've chosen, and we're going to, both choirs are going to be singing them together for the whole year.
Okay, so it's both choirs together.
Both choirs are going to be together. The program is the same for both choirs. And so, Peter, as a Good Neighbors member, you would register for Good Neighbors, and you would get the same program all as what somebody who registered for Joie de Vivre gets.
So then I don't have to register with Joie de Vivre.
No. So if you are a member of Good Neighbors, you would register as you would normally do with Good Neighbors. If you're a member of Joie de Vivre, you would register as a member of Joie de Vivre.
Thank you very much.
If you that sort of comment was more to if you sang in both choirs last year, to choose one or the other. So that way you don't have to pay that $75 fee twice is kind of the idea.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So now I understand. Okay.
Perfect.
Got it.
You're very welcome. Any other questions?
So
hopefully it all makes sense.
This $75 is for the 2 sessions, right?
It's $75 for the fall and then $75 for the winter.
Oh, I see. It's separate then. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will put this out to everybody that's in the room, that if that is an issue for you, I will never run a choir where membership fees become a hindrance to participation. So if you do have a problem with that, because I know that fee is a little higher for Good Neighbors folks, please speak to Donna and we'll make sure to work that out. That's not a problem at all.
No, it's okay. It's okay.